I decided to mainly focus on cycling. And so I would drive myself an hour up to Denver about 3 to 4 days a week for practice and then drive
Wow.
myself back home. And I loved it. It was some of the best memories developing as a cyclist. And then it just grew from there. I catted up, started doing a couple years of crit racing. Then I started guest riding for teams. And then I got a full ride to college, to Fort Lewis College for road. And then at that time I had gone pro and then started doing UCI races like Gila, Colorado Classic, Cascade Classic when they were all in the States. And I even went to Belgium my senior year of high school, to do some UCI racing over there, World Tour stuff. Yeah, it was a lot. I think one year I counted like 99 races that I did.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Juliana. Hey, everyone. At Zone to Speak, I know how important it is to stay healthy, strong, and ready for every ride, workout, and adventure. That's why I'm sharing discounts on products I personally use and love, each one designed to support your performance, recovery, and overall well-being. Whether you're a serious athlete or just trying to feel your best. And remember, every time you shop using these codes, you are directly supporting the podcast and helping me bring more great conversations to life. Psych Plus, their smart pump is a game changer, light, compact, efficient, and perfect for keeping your tires road and gravel ready. It's also ideal for travel as you can skip the CO2 canisters. You can even change your tire pressure on the go when switching between surfaces. Get 10% off the smart pump and 5% everything else. 15% off down the road cycling gear, beautifully designed and performance-ready apparel. 15% off New Zest, clean, plant-based protein and essential nutrients to fuel your recovery and daily energy. 15% off Huel's wellness shots, adaptogens, nootropics, and functional nutrients to support performance, focus, and recovery. I take Oleus daily in the lead up to any of my races, and I have the pre-ride and recovery shots ready for the weekend's big training rides. If you're looking for a clean, effective boost, Oleus is it. 10% off Cold Age. High-quality supplements, including multivitamins, collagen, creatine, and more. I take their women's fermented multivitamin and creatine daily. 10% off Loop ear plugs, ideal for travel, sleep, sensory recovery, or managing noise at races. 10% off Clearly Not Coffee, a caffeine alternative made with mushrooms, cocoa, maca, and rhodiola. I use it every day for smoother energy, sharper focus, and better hormone balance. 10 pounds off Huel, nutritionally complete, high-protein, plant-based meals for when you are on the go and need something quick, satisfying, and healthy. Also great to take bikepacking. 10 pounds off Shokz headphones, the safest way to listen while you train with open-ear technology that keeps you alert and aware on the road or trail. 35% off Frey Skincare. Skincare made for active people. I have used Frey for 10 years, designed to keep sweaty skin clear, fresh, and glowing. You will find all the partner links, discount codes, and instructions in the episode description. So go check them out and enjoy these perks. Now, let's get into the episode. All right, welcome back to Zone to Speak. Today, I'm joined by Charlotte Backus Turner, a former professional road cyclist who seamlessly transitioned into a multifaceted coach, integrating her extensive experience in competitive cycling with her academic background in psychology and nutrition. Charlotte's journey began in Colorado, where she started cycling at the age of 3 and entered competitive racing by 13. Her passion and dedication led her to a professional road cycling career, competing in events like the Colorado Classic and the Tour of Gila. However, recognizing the intense pressures of professional racing, she made a conscious decision to pivot towards a more balanced approach to the sport. Now based in Park City, Utah, Charlotte focuses on coaching athletes through her platform, Exquisite Endurance Coaching. She emphasizes a holistic method that combines structured training plans with psychological resilience and nutritional guidance. In this episode, I will delve into Charlotte's evolution from a competitive cyclist to coach and explore her insights on mental health in sports, the importance of individualized coaching, and how she continues to inspire athletes to achieve their personal best. Charlotte, welcome to Zone to Speak.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, I've been following you and I really, really like your approach to coaching and a lot of things that you have said. I'm a nutrition coach myself, and a lot of things that you said really resonated with me. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But first, can you share how your early experiences in Colorado shaped your passion for cycling?
Yeah, I mean, it started with my dad. It was his fault. It started very organically. I used to swim for 10 years. I was the kid that like wanted to try everything. I grew up on a farm, a horse farm for 3-day eventing. So that was my sister and my mom's gig. They tried with me. I didn't really bite. I liked more of the endurance sports. I was kind of an adrenaline junkie. And, I started swimming for about 10 years. And then one of our friends had a Bianchi bike with the shifters on the down tube, and I just was like, I learned when I was 3 to ride a bike, but I had that space in between, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, can I try riding this?" And it had like the clip-in shoes, like the strap clip-ins, and yeah, I strapped it on, and yeah, it took a while to learn how to shift, but it started growing from there. So my dad and I signed up for Elephant Rock Ride, which is a local ride in Castle Rock, Colorado. It was a road ride. I started on road, and we started, I think the first year we signed up for the 30 mile or the 15 mile, and we got done with it, and we're like, well, that was easy. And so we did another lap. So the next year we bumped up to the 50 mile, and then the next year we did the 100 mile, and I think I was about 13, 14, or maybe even younger. It's crazy, but that was probably a day I will remember for the rest of my life, is doing that 100 mile with my dad, because he
Wow,
had
yeah.
been commuting to work and he always kind of had a bike in his life. Um, so it was a very special moment. And then it grew from there. It was like, well, we did the 100 miles, so we should do Copper Triangle, which is an insane ride. It's a charity ride that you go up 3 mountain passes in the mountains. And then we did that, and we're like, well, we should do something different. And so then we did Tour de Cure, and then we started doing that. And he found this Front Rangers group in Colorado Springs, which is a group that's primarily, or a club that's primarily based for developing kids as racers. Um,
Okay.
Working on, training, the psychology, really, really good coaches. And that was the sprouting of my upbringing, where I kind of fully jumped in. I started doing races locally every single weekend, Saturday and Sunday, time trials, road races, a little bit of crits, and I won most of them. So I then started just growing again the USA cycling system. I started catting up. I raced with a lot of men and a lot of women. Sometimes I raced like twice a day just to get that practice in.
Wow.
And then a development team called Prestige Imports, with Adam Zimmerman, which he was like my official coach, had a big influence on me, and he took me in to their team, which was all boys. So that was about high school time when I decided I was also playing lacrosse. I decided to mainly focus on cycling. And so I would drive myself an hour up to Denver about 3 to 4 days a week for practice, and then drive
Wow.
myself back home. And I loved it. It was some of the best memories developing as a cyclist. And then it just grew from there. I catted up, started doing a couple years of crit racing. Then I started guest riding for teams. And then I got a full ride to college, to Fort Lewis College for road. And then at that time, I had gone pro and then started doing UCI races like Gila, Colorado Classic, Cascade Classic when they were all in the States. And I even went to Belgium my senior year of high school, to do some UCI racing over there, World Tour stuff. Yeah, it was a lot. I think one year I counted like 99 races that I did, which is insane.
Wow. Wow. I mean, so, so much talent. And, one of my questions was going to be how your family supports your journey, but I'm sure it was so special, like you had this journey with your dad. I'm sure those are, such a beautiful memories that you both have forever.
Yeah, and I mean, he still rides, not to the extent he's a world-class pianist, so he's focusing on that, but he still rides. I think this year we're actually going to do a ride across Missouri on the Katy Trail, and I'm like, I'm all in. I'll be there for you, even though it's after like two, three ultra races, and I might be very tired, but it's so
Wow.
special for me to ride with my dad. I am a daddy's girl. My mom is also just as supportive, really incredible parents. I was super lucky. They've had a rocky road with me because I had an eating disorder in high school that kind of threw us off. I had to go inpatient. I was in the ICU. And I think, there's
Wow.
still kind of regrets that I have for my parents. They had to go through so much now that I've grown up and matured. But there's also so much that we learned as a family that I think grew to help my parents with their relationship and also my relationship with my parents.
And I'm glad you overcame. Yeah, I know that you went through the anorexia, and glad you were able to overcome that. And do you think this is something that is sports triggered? Because with cycling,
Yeah,
we have to keep, especially road cycling.
yeah, road is, I mean, it's changed a lot. You look at Anna van der Breggen, you look at all the top riders, and they've gotten so much stronger. They're focusing on strength training, and it's so good to see that. But in my time of that road career, it was very much power to weight based. And so if you wanted to be a climber, which I really did, you had to be super skinny. And, I kind of skirted by it after my eating disorder in high school, through college. But my senior year of college, I relapsed into it right before COVID hit as I began just going up the levels, getting on 2024, a team 2024, which is an Olympic development team. And it just kind of feeds on itself. And there's a lot of reasons why I kind of retired from that side is, there's pressures, but I found that it was pretty toxic for me. Just kind of going back into that. Of course, I'm happy to just pop into a race. My mindset has changed completely, but it was pretty toxic. And again, like, I think it's changed so much to see like women cycling actually have paid stipends for the year, and that kind of support and live feed like the Tour of Femmes is incredible. And it's sometimes I'm sad that I like stopped, but also I'm really happy to see it from a different point of view, and see the success that women's cycling has had.
Yeah, I think it's important to honor your journey as well. You made the best decisions with the knowledge you had through the journey you were experiencing. And things have changed. And I think they are continue to change. And hopefully, on this positive light, that it's more important, wellness than weight. And also, being skinny doesn't mean that you're going to be the fastest up the hill.
Yeah, it's only
So
temporary.
that's,
It could, yeah.
yeah.
So
But reflecting on this, on your professional time, professional road cyclist time, what what were some of the highlights? I know you have encountered challenges and you have decided that you wanted to take a different route, but you also had a lot of good memories from
yeah.
it.
Gosh, like all good memories. Of course, like if it was easy, everyone would do it. That's why not many people do it because it's a really
Yeah.
hard sport. And I had such great memories even growing up with the coaches I had, and through college. I got to race. I got to be a full-time student, be a spin instructor, have another videography job for the school, ECI rider, and a full-time cyclist on the team. So I
Wow.
was really balancing a lot, but for some reason I could do it. Like, it's crazy looking back and I'm like, how the heck did I do that? But it was kind of like I was fully into it, and the memories from the collegiate racing are probably the best. Being with the team, we would drive 7 hours each weekend during the season to the Front Range because we lived in Durango and that's kind of far out there. And we'd either do track cycling. I did cyclocross, track, um,
Wow.
road. I didn't touch the mountain bike side. I tried, but I hit my face on a tree, and then I was like, nope. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm scared of mountain biking. You only see people coming out of the trails, scratchy bruises. But now you are more into gravel mountain biking, right?
Yes, so 3 years ago, so my husband did UCI mountain biking, and
Okay.
we met in college. And of course, they always tried to get the mountain bikers to get to the road side because they're like, that will help your fitness, because road is really just fitness. There's some skills, not as much as mountain biking. So if you have both, you're super successful. So he comes into the road world and starts doing track and road, and we met. And it was kind of like from there on, I mean, we've been together for 8 years now, got married 2 years
Wow.
ago. We both love bikes. Like bikes are our favorite, but he and his parents always try to convince me to get on a mountain bike. And moving to Park City, like there's hundreds of miles of trails there. It's like you can't really avoid them. So 3 years ago, I had a friend that we met through a road ride who was like, "Hey, we should do Point to Point, which is an 80-mile 100% single track race in Park City, Utah. And it's not for the faint of heart. It's super hard. And that was my first ever mountain bike race. So,
Wow.
but I prepared so much. The summer leading into it, I rode every section of the route. And yeah, at first I was super terrified of rocks. I was super terrified of things. But the coolest thing about it, because being at the top for road, seeing improvements is very small. So it can get kind of mundane, it can get challenging, especially when you
Yeah.
plateau, which is guaranteed to happen at some point.
Yeah.
With mountain biking, it was like, oh, I can clear this section now. Okay. And then the next year I'm like way better. And so seeing that progress with my skills it just hooked me in. And so I did Point to Point, did it in like, I think it was like 10 hours. Um, Not the fastest, but then the next year I did it in 8 hours and something. So I like cut off over
That's
an hour of
huge.
time.
Yeah.
So this year, who knows? I have no goals, but hoping to cut off because I think I've gotten better at the descending. So it's really cool to see the progression of the fear. And I kind of, when you're super underweight and as a roadie, you actually get really scared because you're super fragile. And so crashing is really scary. Doing like little things is super scary. And so as I kind of started gaining weight and gaining strength for mountain biking, because you need that, I started like embracing the fear, and it started to be really thrilling to me of like really challenging myself in that way, physically and mentally over like I remember the first year I could only do like 10 minutes on single track because it's so mentally engulfing.
Intense. Yeah.
It's so intense. Sometimes I'm still like, oh, I need a break from like a little single track, please. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's been a really cool journey. Bikes are awesome.
Yeah. I could not agree more. And you mentioned you have three ultras coming up. I know you went to Across Andes. I've been to Across Andes. Uh, what's your experience with ultra? Why did you start it and keep going? What's next? It's a
It's
loaded
officially my
question.
husband's fault. Yeah. Well, it's officially my husband's fault. And it started with Across Andes, which I will be back because it is some of the coolest area. Like I love the culture there. It's nothing what I expected. And now I have a friend that lives there. So yay.
Nice.
um, so yeah, my husband Matthew started kind of getting into ultras because he also stepped back from mountain bike racing again. The racing is hard. It's super
Yeah.
intense. It can be selfish at times, and it's amazing that there are couples that can do it, but we also kind of realize that, is this long term for us? We have different kind of types of competitiveness, and there's the people that have that grit that can stick in there, and that's amazing. But there's also the people that like to help others, and do it for enjoyment. And I think we both noticed that like maybe let's step back in a different way and race in a different way. Um, so he started doing ultras. So one of the years when I was still in college, he's 2 years older than me. So we did long distance for about a couple of years. He made his own route. And this is kind of before all the fancy equipment. I mean, it's gotten insane. Like I have trackers, you have all these maps that are offline. It's gotten really nice to do
Yeah.
ultras. But that time he routed an entire route from across Utah from top to
Wow.
bottom. Yeah, by himself. He just like randomly did that. And so it was more supported. It was his like first official ultra, where he had some friends ride with him. I rode with him along the way. His grandparents would meet him at certain spots. I would meet him at certain
Oh,
spots.
cool.
And then he was hooked. As hard as it was for him, he had to like hike a bike through snow. He got hooked. So then he did the Colorado Trail with a bunch of friends, and then Pinions
That's a
and
tough
Pines.
one.
Yeah, it's very tough. That's on my list. But then he did Pinions and Pines, which is in Arizona. pulled out of that one, but then did it the next year and got second. So one
Wow.
of the days, I love supporting him. I'm always an advocate for anyone who rides bikes or anything he does. And so I'd always be all in. So one day he's like, "Have you heard of Across Andes?" And I'm like, "No, tell me all about it. Like, I'm so stoked." And he's just really getting into things. We had quite a few bags starting to pile up. Now I can't tell you how many we have. um, but he's like, "Yeah, it's a great ultra race in Chile and it's cool." And I signed us up. I'm like, "What?" So yeah, he signed us up, and I think that was November
When
two
did you
years ago.
go?
2 years ago, yeah. The
Okay,
the
okay.
year that was like really cold, really rainy.
I was there the year before that, which they had a
Okay.
heat wave and it was insane.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, like the stark differences, because it was freezing. Yeah, we went there and it was my first ultra, and we did it as a duo team. It's really special to do a duo because you learn a lot about each other. You learn a lot about your relationship and yourself. And I think that's what kind of draws you in, is like all that time you have alone, you're not like bleeding out of your eyeballs trying to stay with a group or focusing on tactics. You're able to really feel nature and be in the nature. And sometimes you feel like so alone and you just realize how small we are in this world. Um, so you learn a
Very
lot.
well
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Cross Andes was kind of a bust. It was pouring rain, probably like 7 to 10 degrees Celsius. So it was
Yeah.
freezing in the pouring rain. So we survived the first 2 days, and I ended up getting a bursitis and a meniscal tear.
Oh
Um,
no.
I think it was a mix of things, like banged my knee on the bed the night before the race started.
Oh,
But also like rain pants, long pants to stay warm, and then just this is my first ultra. I
yeah.
had
It's
done
too much.
Unbound. Yeah, it was a lot.
It's a lot.
So
Yeah.
most ultras, a lot of them are unsuccessful. And it's kind of hard getting into it because the first few are very unsuccessful. So then the following year, he did other ultra races, started doing the Grand Loop. I just supported him. And then we decided to do the goats in Portugal.
Oh,
And yeah,
okay.
so that was last year. But then the
Cool.
day before, I was descending on the road really fast on a little shakeout ride, and my brakes had a bubble in them, my hydraulics, and I couldn't slow down for a turn. And so I went
Oh,
smack into the mountain, and the race was over.
no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I was like, dang it,
Bummer.
another unsuccessful race. So April actually Doom is probably like one of the most special races to me because it was my first solo ultra and I completed it. It
Yeah,
was hard.
congrats.
Yeah, thanks. It took 90 hours. I probably stopped way too many times and way too long, but that's okay. I had no expectations and I ended up getting fourth. So I'll take the win.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
yeah.
And what do you
So
have
now I'm
coming
hooked.
up this year? You have you're going back to Cross Andes. Anything else?
Well, I don't know this year. Hopefully, we'll see.
Okay.
Time will tell. It's pretty stacked this year. It might have to be a following year. But Friday, actually this week, of July 4th, I'm doing North South Colorado. So right after Doom,
Cool.
I was hooked. I was like, I need to do another one. I have to do another one. I need to. And so it's a little bit intimidating because Matthew's not here. I'm so used to him being by my side. Of course, I'm here at my parents' house. They live in Colorado still. And yeah, it's North South Colorado, and you go from Fort Collins all the way to Trinidad. 600, a little over 600 miles and about 45,000 feet of climbing. So it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
It's long
It's what,
miles.
about a
And
1,000 kilometers, a little over
yeah,
that.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. 1,000
No, no, no,
kilometers
no, no. I'm
and
just for others that don't speak miles.
yeah, 15,000 meters of climbing, something like that.
Yeah, that's more than decent. It's a good
Yeah,
challenge. Yeah.
it's a really good challenge, but I'm up for the challenge. I think a lot about the bike packing is the gear that's so much fun. It's kind of like a puzzle of like, what do I bring? What do I not bring? I like if you don't use something, it's like, okay, I'm definitely not bringing this next time. But then it's a question of like, okay, Colorado, and this is the great thing is when I did Doom in Arkansas, I had no clue what the terrain was like, no clue what the area was like. So I ended up sleeping like 2 hours total out of the 90 hours. Probably lost a few
Wow.
brain cells, but I was like, I think it's really hard that like first official solo ultra to day of sleep. Um,
Yeah,
even though I got
it's
so
hard to shut
tired.
out the brain,
Yeah.
and then you're also eating so much sugar and caffeine that it is
Yeah,
tough.
exactly.
Yeah.
So this time I have a sleeping bag and a bivy, and my
Okay.
goal is to sleep, but it's also like my stomping grounds. I grew up here in Colorado, and so I've been to these sections of the mountains. Maybe not exactly, there's going to be a lot of new terrain because I did a lot of road when I was here, but it's still like I'm very familiar with the weather patterns and just like the culture of everything. And so I'm really stoked about that. Of course, like I'm nervous, of course.
Yeah, but there's a different comfort level when this is your backyard kind of, so
Yeah.
it should be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting to explain it to my parents. Because they, you know, I grew up with them supporting me for short races that are fully supported. You get caravans, you have everything you need. You get a new wheel if your wheel breaks. I don't know, you could get a new bike. um,
Yeah.
I was trying to explain it to my mom yesterday of like, she's like, oh, I'll call my friend who I know that lives in Granby and I'll let her know that you're coming through. And I'm like, yeah, but she
Nope.
can wave, but I'm not gonna like stay at her house because I can't plan
Yeah.
anything. I could like walk up to a random stranger's door and be like, hey, can I sleep here? But that's also kind of creepy. Um, so it's really interesting to explain it to my parents. And yeah, they're totally terrified, but I always make sure safety is priority. There have been a lot of scary moments for a lot of people that ultra race, especially for women.
Yeah.
So I have a taser flashlight with me, another taser, bear spray, and mace. So I feel a little bit more comfortable having that. Of course, I have emergency contacts. I have my Garmin InReach, so people can always track me, and I can message them through that if I'm out of service. So there's a lot of things that I have if I need that emergency help.
Yeah, that's really important. I need to get one of those trackers as well, but I did get the pepper spray, ginger spray, whatever, and I have it on my bike at all times, even if it's not an ultra, because you never know. And like I said, unfortunately, we can happen to guys as well, but women, it's such a easier prey. You are alone on an
Hmm.
ultra, and yeah,
Yeah,
but
I'm like maybe I should
hopefully,
like tuck my hair up into the helmet and like wear a raggedy shirt. It's a little
I
dirty.
actually do that when it gets late at night. I put my neck buffer. I put my hair
Yeah.
inside. Yeah, I even had once I was pushing my bike a little bit, and this guy on a van was like, "Are you okay, mate?" I was like, "Yes." He thought I was a boy. That's good, in a way.
That's
Like
nice.
it's sad that we
Yeah.
have to think of those things to be safe, but it is a
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
And
It's more of like afraid of humans rather than animals, really.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So,
I heard you were also a Zwift beta racer rider. How was that
yeah. My
experience?
gosh. I grew up with a trainer because I lived on a horse farm in the middle of the country on dirt roads. And the only way for me to ride was with my dad, and he worked during the weeks. So the only way I could get stronger was because my mom didn't want me to go on the dirt roads, which now, like at the time, I was like, that's so dumb, but like totally understand
Yeah,
now. There's really creepy
yeah,
people out there, and a little
yeah,
girl is a really good target.
yeah.
Um, I would train, I got a comfy trainer and I just stare at a wall and write my own workouts on a sticky note. And I started getting stronger and stronger, which, carried over to the races where I won and did really well. And then, so a part of that junior cycling team, the Front Rangers, they had Carmichael training system. So we'd go in and do a Sufferfest workout on the trainer. So I did Sufferfest. And then, oh my gosh, even the early days of Trainer Road. Sometimes my dad and
Wow.
I would just train in the basement and watch the same like YouTube video on loop. Like it's like a route, like someone's like going through a route and you do a hard workout. So the trainer had a special place because I knew it was the way to get stronger, at least for me. Of course, like it translated to when I started training outside. My mom was the best. She would always like, when I was a kid, she would work in her car, drive forward. I would train that bit and then she'd wait for me. So she always like wanted to be, it was so great to have my parents always there, guarding me, I guess. So yeah, I think it was oh my gosh, 2016. Sorry, whenever Zwift started, saw a blur. Eric Min actually emailed me and was like, "Hey, I'm starting up this like virtual cycling game called Jarvis. and we'd like to have you trial it. And so yeah, I'm one of the beta riders,
How
one of the few
cool.
first originals. So I started with Zwift from day one, and I got hooked. I mean, it's really fun to be in that gang component. So I started racing on Zwift, and I started winning races. Because for me, I really love learning, and so I love learning the tactics of Zwift because it's so different from in real life, especially with the updates that like commonly update. And so I started winning races, and then they started the race series, and then so I did team time trials with a group out of the UK, and I
Cool.
just like I loved it because again, in Colorado, winters are you could train out in the snow if you really want, but you can't really get much out of it. So winters are always the time that I train indoors.
Yeah.
And yeah, I Zwifted and Zwifted, and that's actually kind of how I started getting on Team 2024 because I was doing a lot of Zwifting, and then she saw me, Nicola Kramer, and she's like, you know what? We'd like to have you on the team. So it was really fun. And the cool thing about Zwift too is the community part. So I led a lot of rides. You meet a lot of people, and we still do that today. Mari Holden, a medalist, we have a ride every Monday, and I think we haven't even missed a
Oh,
day in the last
cool.
4 years. So yeah, it's very
Yeah,
special. And I hold my own Friday Smash sessions every Friday, and usually in the winter period, I have a little summer break right now, but this year we just did a whole series of workouts because, yes, I am a coach. So I specialize in Zwift workouts just because I've made hundreds, if not thousands, of workouts for Zwift. So we did a little series of like targeting certain things, working on form, and then I jump on there also and talk about the science of things, the nutrition. So it's a really full picture because, again, yeah, coaching can be expensive. I had a lot of coaches help me by like not charging or just giving me a good discount. So I wanted to give back. And I think, knowledge is power. So I want it to be available to people.
that's really, really cool. So anyone who has Zwift can go and join your rides and get all this
Yeah.
knowledge.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
And then I usually write
Amazing.
blogs on my website so they can read back on it.
I'll put all the information on the episode description
Yes.
because I'm sure people will be crazy about that.
Yeah.
I want to
I
try
love
as
having
well.
people. Yeah.
So, what motivated your shift from professional racing to coaching? I know you have a strong academic background in psychology and nutrition. How do they contribute to this?
Yeah. I'm kind of a nerd. I just love learning. Maybe not so much math, but more of like the science of things. That I think a lot of that helped me with my eating disorders, like really understanding nutrition. Like really, what does carbohydrates do? And so going through college, getting psychology, I always loved trying to help people. I feel like I've always had, just because of the eating disorder, I've always had a different mindset of how to overcome things. Um, so I loved learning the psychology, but I started to get, again, like I think it goes in hand. I had lots of years of training with different coaches, with different programs. So I loved creating workouts, and people noticed that. Like I started just like I have tons of notebooks of just workouts, like way before Training Peaks was a full thing. And so I just really enjoyed making workouts, and people noticed that. So I was like, maybe I'll get into coaching. And so I did almost minor as an exercise science major or minor. Couldn't declare it because of scholarship, but I took a lot of exercise science classes and sport and coaching. And so I kind of started just growing from there. And senior year of college, I became a level 1 USA cycling coach. And so I work with USA Cycling and Training Peaks and just work on that accreditation every year.
Amazing. Can you describe the philosophy behind exquisite endurance coaching and how it differentiates from traditional coaching methods?
Yeah, I could say like in simple terms, flexible. A lot of coaches have, and it's nothing wrong. A lot of coaches have a very singular funnel mindset of like, I only do polarization. Um, but in my learning, I love to keep an open mind of the new stuff that's coming in, and I want to invite everybody because cycling's for anybody. So I have
Yeah.
athletes from 16 years old to 80. So I have a
Wow.
huge range, and some of them are just only Zwifters. They, want to stay inside, and like I'm like, yes, stay inside. Like if you find community there, it's not safe outside. Stay inside. Where I'm helping a racer right now get into road biking coming from mountain biking, which is weird. But it's awesome. I love coaching all the different backgrounds of people. I also help some riders with weight loss and weight gain. And the nice thing about that is I've helped some women athletes with the whole disordered eating mindset. It's very common because it's just, I think it's a part of the sport, especially at the high level. And
Yeah.
so, again, that's where the psychology background really helps because you can really process and go over goals and all the different scenarios of how to change your mind into a different mindset to be successful. So yeah, my coaching exquisite is from Matthew's family, which has a property management business in Park City, and I stole it from them, but I got permission. um, but they're exquisite mountain property management, and I'm exquisite coaching. I just kind of like the exquisite, like
I like that.
it's
Yeah.
exquisite.
Yeah.
There's nothing too simple about it. Yes, I give really hard workouts, but I also love to listen. And my number one thing is you tell me if you're not having fun, because I've been there. I've been to where I hated the bike. I didn't want to get on it, but I did. Um, I started pulling away from it. And, looking back, that was sad. It's really sad because the bike has always been a part of me. It's been my freedom, it's been my cure. And to hate it is not really fun because you just like feel like you
Yeah.
lose your identity. And so I'm like, you tell me if you're not having fun and we'll figure a way. I've made recipe workouts, I've made Harry Potter themed workouts. Sometimes usually I ride with my athletes, the local athletes. I'll ride and we'll have our coaching conversation while riding. um, I will adjust in any way to make it better for the athlete. And most of my athletes have full-time jobs. So it's always scary getting into coaching and racing because, the balance of life, kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it really differentiates you having that approach. And I think it's something that we coaches should talk more about it. Like you said, there are many different methods and approaches, and there's nothing wrong with any of them. But for a lot of people, they want the differentiator of talking, not just like, I just don't want to open, Training Peaks or whatever, and then get the workout and get on the bike. Some people do want to that. I don't want a conversation with anyone. I just want to do my workout. But a lot of people like myself, I like more to nerd out as well. I want to understand what I'm doing. I want to understand how this will improve and help me reach my goals. And I really, really like how you integrate the psychology and the nutrition background into one holistic approach. That's amazing. And what you just said about maintaining a health balance between the performance goal and the overall well-being of an athlete.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been told that like you can't do psychology and nutrition along with coaching. It's not good. It's not your scope of
Why?
practice. And me being stubborn, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And so, I mean, I'm
Good.
not accredited. I have a bachelor's in psychology, so I'm not like a doctorate or whatever. And I have like some certifications for nutrition, but having that holistic view of all the puzzle pieces, I look at it as a puzzle. Like you can't just have the power puzzle. Like we can totally nerd out on power numbers and heart rate and all of that, but if that's the only thing you're focusing on and the nutrition's falling behind or the psychology falling behind, which I really notice psychology is a huge factor. It
Huge.
That puzzle piece, that whole puzzle isn't there. And they all have to come together if you want to be successful at a race. Like looking at some of the top racers, their puzzle piece, it's like a code they have, all comes together at that one moment and it changes. And that's the hard thing about racing is it changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're being stubborn and doing what you feel it's right. I'm sure it's helping a lot of people. I love
Yeah.
that approach.
Yeah. It's so important.
And what are some projects or initiatives you are currently working on within the cycling community?
Yeah. Well, lots. I have a full plate. I love having full plates, but a lot of it right now is just inspiring women. I want to get more women on bikes. I've done a lot of the last 2 years of doing a lot of women group rides because it's very I get it because I grew up racing and riding with men. And they kind of just leave you in the dust and they don't wait, or you have to pee and they're like, whatever. So it's like I grew up with that, but there's also women who didn't. And so getting into cycling and they see that, it's really intimidating, or they're like going into a hard group ride and they don't want that. They want something that will filter them into that, and they want the support. So I help lead a ride called Team Sugar in Park City. It's insane how many women show up. I think we've had over 100 once, but it's a mountain bike ride.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's funny that
Good for you.
yeah, it's funny that I did mountain biking because I used to also, I mean, through college, I could have joined the mountain bike team, but I was terrified. I was like, I'm not good enough, very self-conscious, like I don't have the skills, so I never did it, which is kind of sad. But now that I'm like leading, it's a full circle. Like there's other women that are struggling with skills and scared, but we're able to kind of like go together and talk about it. And it's such a great ride. They're great rides. And then a lot of my social media is based on just supporting and being natural. I love talking about science. I love kind of being an advocate for certain groups. I love doing it all. Full plate.
You're doing amazing, and I agree. Like we need to get more women in sports. We need to do these type of things. I am also doing something which I haven't even talked about it, so it's the first time I'm talking about. I'm putting a 2 day bike packing event in Portugal with Portugal Women's Bike Packing. Because I got into triathlon because I had someone quote unquote hold my hand and be like, was another woman that was like, I'll support you, come, I'll do it with you. And with gravel and ultra, my husband was there like, no, I'll teach you the ropes, I teach you, what bike bags you need, what to pack and things like that. So that's what we want to do. Like, you can come for fun or you can come to learn, and we can even pair it with someone so you learn the ropes. It's hard to go, and especially in the ultra that is multi-day, that you have to be self-sufficient.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
intimidating. I don't know if I would have done it if I didn't have someone to like, no, come, I'll teach you how. As much as you can watch YouTubes, it's different in practice. So yeah, those community events I think are super important.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get it. Like I'm still terrified. I'm like, did I pack everything? Do I have everything I need?
Yeah,
Like,
what
and
did I
then you second
forget?
guess. Yeah. What if I have a flat? Oh my gosh. Do I have everything?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's intimidating, but it's also really kind of cool in a way. I used to hate change. I used to be very singular mindset, is kind of that type A. Again, my husband, like we really grew together that way, where he helped me a ton kind of get out of that. And now I like fully embrace that change. Like, oh shoot, I forgot this. Well, we'll modify, we'll change it up, we'll figure it out. And it's kind of thrilling in a way, but yeah, it's hard getting into the cycling sport because I think a lot of people think it's all about racing. It's all about winning. Because I think, talking to someone who doesn't really know about cycling, how you explain it is Tour de France. You're just like,
Yeah.
Tour de France, that's, and they're like, okay, racing, hardcore, all that. And it's like, no, it's not necessarily that. And my mind changed a lot when I started doing group rides for people or with people, with athletes. So I did Lotta Jaw, which is a 200-mile road race, from Logan, Utah to Jackson, Wyoming. And I did it with a bunch of my athletes. And yeah, I might have gone slower than I wanted to, but being able to pull yourself back and kind of see it through their eyes, you start noticing there's more than just performance. And it helps you see, because when you get to that pointy end, again, you're like, I'm slow. You can be really hard on yourself. But when you see the full picture, you're able to see, like, I started somewhere too, and they're starting somewhere too, and we can grow together.
Yeah.
So it just leaves a little bit of a lighter field. It's like, it's a community based feeling.
Yeah, couldn't have said better. And is there an advice you would offer to young athletes who aspire to pursue a career in cycling while maintaining mental and physical health?
Yeah. I work with kids, through my bike sponsor Spry. They have a whole junior kids development team. And then I have my other family is in California. Really good friends of ours also has a mountain bike development team. So I work a lot with kids. And, with science and technology these days, there's tons of things. Like literally, I was just looking up a new device that you can breathe into and see, like at home device that you can breathe into and see all your metabolism factors, and VO2. And it's insane. And I saw a sweat test one. So you can like get all the tools you want. Head unit, you can get power, you can get heart rate, you can get lactate testing. It's so crazy, which is so much fun. But I think as a young kid developing, It's it's really just feeling the fun of the bike. Again, when you start young, if you go full in and have all that data, I think their burnout rate is pretty fast. There are a bunch of young riders, male riders that I raced with Prestige that like don't race anymore because they were like full in, full gas, and I think they just kind of got burnt out. And they were such good cyclists. So I think, it's all about the fun
Yeah.
with kids. It's like, first teaching them a bike. It's not about like, oh, you got to race fast. It's just like, go get on your bike, fall down, get back up, and so kind of growing up into that, I really don't recommend devices. I think it's about learning the body first, because if you learn the body first, you're able to test limits and know that perceived rate of exertion. And so therefore it's not any pressure because you just start learning. It's a learning process. And then like getting into high school, you can bring heart rate monitors in, some power, but not for every ride. And they can bring in more and get more into like the serious aspect of it as they also progress with their training.
It makes a lot of sense. And as you were saying that, I was thinking that even for us, maybe we should do some rides without the bike computer,
Yes, agree.
right?
Agree. I call them pocket rides, where you just pocket your computer and you just ride. And sometimes,
Yeah.
this is with Strava and all the recording devices, it's a challenge for anyone to not record a ride. Just go ride.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
husband's really good at that. I'm like, "Are you gonna wear your heart rate monitor?" He's like, "Nah." He just goes around like, "Do you need your Garmin?" He's like, "Nah." So it's a
Yeah.
really good challenge to be like, no, someone doesn't have to always see your ride. You know that you're riding and you get fulfillment out of that. Not everybody has to know. So yeah, I do use devices, especially for big rides. It's fun to see the stats, but I also don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just don't because it's fun to get that like freedom of just like riding your bike.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I think it makes sense once in a while, like if you want to even log that, like you said, put it on a pocket somewhere. Start your ride, but leave it there. Don't look at it, and you can look at it later, but not during the ride, because yeah, I think sometimes you can take the fun out of it because you can't resist but look, it's right there, and you're like, oh, this is my power, this is my speed, this is the average speed. What?
Yep,
Just
exactly.
enjoy
And
once in a
there is
while.
some psychological things that do happen that I've noticed a lot with athletes is, and myself. Again, a lot of my coaching has been a lot of experiences myself. Is when you know your threshold number, let's say like 250, and you're doing a time trial or some kind of race, and you hit that 250, you're like, oh no, I'm at threshold.
Yeah.
I'm like at my limit. And so your brain mentally caps itself. But if you
Yeah.
try without the device and you do a time trial or something, and maybe you just have average speed or your speed or time, um, you could be hitting 260 and you're fine.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, but like our mind plays such a big role in our cycling, and it can play a good role and it can play bad. It's just how we utilize our mind and our mindset. And it takes practice to do that.
Yeah, believe me, I am terrible at that. I have to train my mind all the time because I'm always like paranoid that I'm gonna run out of power. Oh my God, I already put so much power now. I'm gonna get back home and I'm gonna be so slow. I'm gonna die anytime soon. Like, my mental game, I really needed help. But I know I'm guilty of it, So I actually try not to look at those numbers, even with climbs. Like I don't want to be, when people start talking about the race and they're like, oh, there's this really tough climb, and it's like I don't want to hear it. Like I just want to experience as I go, because otherwise I'm already dead before getting to that climb, because I know that monster thing is coming.
Yeah, the brain caps it right there. It
Yeah,
has that
that's it.
perceived like terror. And so like the pocket rides are great because you really feel, and I guess I'm also guilty because I was really bad about that. Like when I was getting into longer rides, I remember just like going out for 160K and I was terrified. I was like, what if I don't make it back? And also I wasn't eating much food because I was like, don't eat because it's better. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So of course
Eat.
I was bonking. I was bonking so I wouldn't get back and I'd struggle. And so like it was a huge fear thing. And then yeah, hitting those numbers was like scary because I didn't know and knowing the climbs, but it started changing when I started getting into ultra and mountain biking too. Because ultra racing, you're out there and the only way back is just to continue. You could turn
Yep.
around, but it's probably the same
Same.
same
Yeah, or
amount
more.
back, yeah, or
Yeah.
more. So it's like you're kind of forced to like keep going. And so the way you change your mindset, and you're not like, you start to not focus on the numbers. You're just like
Yeah.
focusing on like yourself then there. And yeah, my bike's like 50 pounds. So I don't know, 25 kilograms. Um, heavy.
Yeah.
And so that stresses me. But then I'm like, you know what? Like once you get a good rolling speed, like who cares? You can go at your speed. Like go
Yeah.
at what you're comfortable with. You can go hard when you want to go hard. For women, it's so different. We have hormonal changes, and that's what's so frustrating because like my husband will be we do this WIF series in the winter, and like every single week he's strong, and I'm like super strong and staying in the group, and then like another week I'm like so weak and my mental game is like, oh, you're so slow. We have hormonal changes, and we
Yeah.
have to kind of work around that. And but it's noticing that we have that, and it's okay. It's okay
Yeah.
to like sometimes I get body aches, sometimes a lot of your mental side is like just tired and fatigued because our body is doing something incredible. I think it took me a long time to be like, my body is doing something incredible every single month. It's a very taboo subject about periods, but I think it's something that needs to be known. And like Dr. Stacy Sims is doing a really good job doing some research on that and menopause. Yeah. And it's opening the world to like, you know, I was always afraid of talking. I was like, oh my God, period. That's so scary. Don't talk about it. But now it's just like, we need to talk about it because it does affect us, but it's also a really incredible thing that our body is doing.
Yeah, we need to be kinder to ourselves and acknowledge that we do fluctuate and there's so many different, chemical changes every week. But also, like Dr. Sims now, we're finally getting some literature and more information about what's happening and what can we do and how can we balance all this and
Yeah.
navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can literally just be eating an extra piece of toast and you feel better. Just some
Yeah,
extra carbs, just
that's
some extra
simple.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah, or hydrate
So
better or
it's,
certain times.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a learning process. Like I think I'm still learning because again, I lost my period for many, many years. It's always been spotty, and now I'm on an IUD, so it's like I don't know, but you start getting the balance of what the symptoms are like. And I used to hate it when I was like on my period, and I'm like, it's race day, great. Like I'm gonna suck at this, but not really. It's mindset too. Like our bodies just they can do what they can do. Women's bodies are really incredible, and that's why ultra racing is really good for women, and we're really good at it because we're built for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Well, Charlie, thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's so powerful to see how your passion for performance and well-being now supports others in reaching their own goals, and you continue to also to pursue your passions and always evolving. I'm so happy you came to the podcast and shared your journey.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And that's all for today's episode. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends.